If you found your way to a video on cleaning cat pee, you've probably got a cat who isn't using the litter box. Either that or you've run out of other things to watch. I am so sorry to hear that because cat urine can be a challenge to remove, but we're going to get through it together. First, you need to identify where your cat peed. This might be obvious if it's fresh or you can smell it, but if not, there's the blacklight trick. The trick is that you pull out a blacklight and shine it on where you think your cat has peed. In order for this to work though, you need to have the room totally dark or it won't show up. It doesn't always light up though, and other things can glow under the blacklight, so be prepared for mixed results with this one. It's not always reliable. For example, I've had places where my cats have vomited before that the blacklight glows when I shine it on it. Either way, you should probably clean that up. Blacklights aren't super expensive, so it's worth trying it in most cases. Once you've identified where your cat has peed, you absolutely need to not reach for that spray bottle of water. There are exceptions to this, for example, if you're using a power cleaner and the instructions tell you to wet the carpet first. However, water is just going to re-wet the urine and spread it around. It may cause it to soak in deeper, and if it's a piece of furniture or your carpet, it may make things worse. It's not necessary. Most of the time, you can skip right to using a cleaner because it's actually going to help address the problem. There are a lot of urine cleaners out there, and not all of them work. Sometimes the companies will change their formula and then they stop working as well. Enzymatic urine cleaners are going to be the most useful tool that you have because in order to actually get rid of the smell and prevent your cat from returning to urinating in that area, you have to actually destroy the urea. Urea is a component of urine and part of what creates the smell, but it's not actually the part that directly creates the smell that most of us are familiar with if we've smelled cat pee before. There are oxygen-based cleaners out there that may help with the odor, but use them after the enzymatic cleaner is not getting rid of the urea isn't going to be very effective. Because it's really hard to edit videos after they're posted, I'm gonna put my current recommendations for urine cleaners in the description for you in case you're interested in trying to find one. Now, one thing I generally don't recommend when it comes to cleaners is bleach. Bleach usually isn't going to help because the core problem with the odor isn't bacteria themselves, it's the bacteria snacking on the urea and turning it into ammonia. Ammonia is probably what you are actually smelling, even though there are other components of cat urine that will create the smell. We are pro snacks at Class Act Cats, unless it's bacteria snacking. Take away the snacks for the bacteria with an enzymatic cleaner. Once you've got your cleaner, you need to test it on whichever surface you're going to be cleaning. This is especially important for fabric as it could discolor it, but testing it on any surface is a good idea, just in case. Always check the manufacturer's instructions to make sure the cleaner is safe on whichever surface you need to clean, and don't mix cleaning products. That could be really dangerous. After your test, you are good to get started if it went well. We're going to talk about different surfaces and the best way to clean them, starting with the easiest, non-porous surfaces. Think things like bathtubs as an example. Start by soaking up any fresh urine that's sitting on it before you spray it with the enzymatic cleaner. You can just use a paper towel or a washcloth for that. Let it sit for at least as long as the manufacturer recommends, though sometimes it's a good idea to let it sit for a little bit longer. Wipe it clean and then repeat it at least once. The repetition ensures that you really get rid of the urine. If you don't clean well enough, your cat will smell it and come back to try and top it off, so don't skimp on this part. More complicated than non-porous surfaces are surfaces that will absorb the liquids. Once again, you're going to want to start out by getting any fresh urine out. Do this by blotting any of the fresh urine without rubbing it further into the material. These types of surfaces, you're gonna need to start by letting the enzymatic cleaner soak a little bit to destroy the urea. If you're cleaning a removable washable fabric or clothing item, you can use an enzymatic laundry detergent mixed with water or use slightly diluted enzymatic cleaner to give it a good pre-clean. Let it sit overnight and then run it through the washer. If it's not removable, spray with your enzymatic cleaner and let it sit according to the manufacturer's instructions. When you spray it, be careful to only spray the areas where there is urine and avoid letting too much liquid seep into other parts of the item to not spread the urea. That said, theoretically, the enzymatic cleaner should destroy the urea, so it's going to be less problematic than if you were just using straight up water. If it's fresh urine, you can carefully place a towel or paper towel over it and blot, not rub, to soak up the urine. Blot from the outside in because remember, we're not trying to spread the urea. As much as our odor-causing bacteria friends may enjoy that, even if you catch things right away, the urine may have soaked in. That urine will still cause odors, so you'll need to use enough cleaner to reach the deeper layers of the item you're cleaning. This part gets tricky. If it's a couch that is filled with foam, consider getting a syringe with a large bore needle and injecting it into your couch, as strange as that sounds to do. So the enzymatic cleaner really gets to all of the urine, including that in the foam. You may even need to consider replacing the foam or some of the foam. For carpet, it gets a bit trickier because you don't want mold. Really soaking it in may be necessary to get all the urine, but make sure to dry the heck out of it. Make sure there's a lot of airflow and have a fan going on it to help dry it out. You will need to repeat this process at least twice, but oftentimes more than just 2 times. Clean until you can't smell it anymore, and then give it one more clean, because if there's any lingering odor, your cat may still be attracted to pee in that location. You don't want that. For more delicate or other types of fabrics, getting professional cleaning is the way to go. If you're not sure, ask someone who knows what they're talking about the specific fabric that you're using. And as I mentioned earlier, make sure that you double check that the enzymatic cleaner is listed as being safe on that surface. Don't just guess, because it could damage your furniture. Now, what about wood? Wood gets complicated. You don't want to stain or distort the wood, and you also don't want it to mold, but you do want to actually have the enzymatic cleaner have a chance to destroy the urea. You may be best off refinishing the wood and sanding it down to get rid of any varnish or finishing that's already on it. But if you want to try cleaning it, you can. Spray it with an enzymatic cleaner and let it sit for just a couple of minutes. Then wipe it and let it dry. The goal of this is to let the enzymatic cleaner sit just long enough that it will destroy some of the urea, but that it doesn't damage the wood. You are going to need to repeat this over and over and over again, letting it completely dry between bouts of cleaning. You're intentionally not letting it sit there for long enough to work in just one go. And if you try this, you are going to have to accept that there is a chance you could still damage the wood. Also tough is cleaning drywall. Depending on how the drywall is treated, you may or may not want to use an enzymatic cleaner on it because mold. Wet drywall is not a good thing. Additionally, if it's not actually treated, it could fall apart. If it is sealed with a good primer, blot the urine out if it's fresh. Again, blotting, not rubbing. You can use an enzymatic cleaner and then blot that dry after about 15 minutes. And keep a fan facing the wall to help speed the drying process because, as I've said a few times, mold. Once it's completely and totally dry, you can consider sealing the wall using an oil-based primer to lock the odor in. However, you have to be extremely careful that it's completely dry. This could be less effective if the urine soaked completely through the drywall. So this would be something that would be helpful for like a little bit of surface level urine. At a certain point, you have to decide if it's worth actually trying to fix it, or if you may just want to cut out a chunk and replace it. Or even better, hire someone to do it, because trying to do that yourself could result in damaging your home. For other things your cat may pee on, you're probably going to need to consult an expert for specifics. For example, electronics require a specialized approach to cleaning. Don't just guess with anything. Now, I mentioned carpet earlier, so let's return to that because I want to highlight 2 things about carpet. First, should you deep clean the carpet? It can be really helpful if you were to use a wet vac or hire a professional to do a deep clean of the carpet, but you still want to use an enzymatic cleaner. Most wet vacs advise against using any old cleaner, so use one specifically compatible with your machine. Make sure you thoroughly clean the area and that it completely dries out after. Second, and this applies to other materials, but especially to carpet, at what point should you replace it? Even if you did a really good job with cleaning, you'll probably never get the full odor out without replacing the carpet. The urine may have soaked down to the lower layers of the carpet, so unless you inject the cleaner and let it fully dry out so it doesn't create mold, you may have issues. Wait to replace the carpet until you are reasonably certain that the issue is resolved, because otherwise, you may end up replacing it again, which is expensive and frustrating. For other items that cost less and aren't sentimental, replacing them might be the best thing to do right away, and then keeping them out of reach of your cat so they can't pee on it again. You can consider using an oxygen-based cleaner after you've used the enzymatic cleaner to reduce lingering odors that may not have fully gone away. The key is using both and using the enzymatic cleaner first, as the oxygen-based cleaner won't get rid of the urea. Once you have things cleaned enough, there are still 2 things you need to do. First, You want to protect the area from any further incidents without making the problem worse. Deterrents may seem appealing and they often get marketed to people who are desperate, but they can make the problem worse if they increase your cat's stress because that's often contributing to your cat urinating outside the litter box, or they can cause your cat to go pee somewhere else instead of the location that they're currently peeing. It isn't always going to be the litter box because if there's a problem with the litter box or something else going on, your cat's gonna be like, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna go pee right next to that spot. You're risking spreading the damage and creating more to clean. While you absolutely should skip the tinfoil, spikes, shock mats, sprays, or other awful products, that doesn't mean that you have to just let your cat pee there. You can protect the area with something like a reusable puppy pad that you can toss in the laundry to reduce waste, or a disposable one if you prefer, or you can use another waterproof cover. Waterproof blankets exist for bedding or to put over your mattress that may not keep the urine out forever, but they'll buy you some time and reduce some of the damage. Or you can consider water-resistant rugs to protect your floor. Many of these are machine washable, so they're pretty easy to clean. Your goal is to reduce the damage while you work on what is probably the most important step, figuring out why your cat isn't using the litter box. If your cat just continues to not use the litter box, you're gonna be cleaning forever, so addressing the underlying problem is probably the most important thing you can do. It's possible it could be a medical issue, so the first thing you should do is take your cat to the veterinarian for a thorough exam. After that, look at the litter box itself, the litter you're using, the location of the litter boxes, if there's tension between multiple cats in your home, if your cat may be stressed, or actually, there's a lot of things that can cause your cat to not use the litter box. I have a lot of resources on this to check out, but if you're stuck and your vet can't find anything medical, consider working with a qualified cat behavior professional to figure out what's happening and what to do about it. Cleaning cat pee can be really tough, and honestly, I'm glad you're the one doing the cleaning, not me. Good luck, and I hope your home is urine-free soon.